Think about the last time you vented to a friend about a bad day.
Oh, yeah. We all have those days.
Right. Maybe you had a boss who took credit for a project you slaved over, or, a partner who promised they'd handle the chores but left the sink piled high with dishes.
hmm Well, maybe just a really soul-crushing commute.
Exactly. You walk through your front door, you immediately call someone you trust, and you just kind of let the dam break. We usually think of this as, well, harmless stress relief, right?
Yeah, totally. It's just letting off steam so you can wake up and function again.
But what if it's actually a weapon? Like, what if
Oh.
this completely normal habit is actively destroying your life?
It is a deeply uncomfortable premise. I
Yeah.
mean, we have structured so much of modern psychology around this idea of release. We're constantly told that holding things in is toxic.
Right, that you have to express your dissatisfaction.
Exactly. So suggesting that the act of venting might actually be the poison, it feels like a rejection of everything we consider healthy.
Which makes today's source material so fascinating. We are diving into a philosophical essay by Xifeng from September 2019. It was translated by Kinyu and edited by Kayer.
And the title alone is pretty intense.
Oh, it's a massive warning shot. It's titled Grumbling and Complaining Are Weapons That Kill Kinship, Affection, and Love.
Hmm.
Our mission today is to explore this radical text. We want to dissect its argument that everyday negativity isn't just venting, but a profound self-sabotage that poisons our relationships, our spirituality, and our own future.
And we really need to examine the extreme philosophical solution the author proposes to fix it.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we can understand the destruction, we need to define the crimes.
Right. What's fascinating here is how Xifeng makes a very deliberate distinction between two behaviors we usually just lump together.
Yeah, grumbling versus complaining.
Exactly. It starts with grumbling. The text defines this strictly as an internal state.
Mhm.
It is feeling resentful, being dissatisfied with your results, and harboring negativity.
Like blaming others in your head, basically.
Yes. You aren't necessarily shouting at anyone yet, but you are cultivating this narrative that the world owes you something.
Right, so grumbling is like your car's engine overheating. It is all internal resentment, just building up pressure.
That is a great way to look at it, because the psychological progression in the text is so clear. It starts as this quiet feeling that the world is unfair.
And then it mutates. Right.
It does. It mutates into complaining, which is the externalization of that grumbling. Complaining is taking that dissatisfaction and absolutely refusing to accept any personal fault.
So using my car analogy, complaining is taking that boiling hot coolant and just throwing it onto the passenger sitting next to you.
Exactly. You are forcing other people to bear the bad consequences. And the text notes it even manifests physically.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, in passive pessimistic language,
Hmm.
but also in negative posture and movements. Your whole body becomes a billboard for your resentment.
Once that negativity externalizes, it actively seeks targets. And reading through this text, there is this highly specific, almost exhaustive list of how complaining systematically ruins every type of relationship.
The blast radius is huge.
It really is. The author gives us a literal kill list. If you complain to your parents, you lose their love. If you complain to your children, you lose their filial piety.
And with spouses,
Ah.
it leads directly to divorce.
Right, friends. You lose their friendship and it turns into enmity. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It blends these grounded, everyday things with massive cosmic stakes. Like, the text says complaining to bosses gets you demoted or fired, and complaining to colleagues means you lose their help when you need it.
Which is very practical workplace advice.
Yeah, but then it immediately scales up to the spiritual level. It claims you lose your spirituality from the greatest creator, who is described as the ancestor of Buddha.
And it says you'll be sent into darkness by gods and saints and invite disasters from spirits.
I mean, think about your colleagues. Are you accidentally cutting off your own lifelines, like cosmic and professional, just by complaining at the water cooler?
Well, if we look at it through the lens of transactional loss, it makes perfect sense.
What do you mean by transactional loss?
The text doesn't just say people won't like you. It argues that complaining instantly breaks the foundational contract of any relationship, whether it's earthly or spiritual.
Because every relationship has that baseline of mutual goodwill. Right.
Exactly. When you complain, you're broadcasting that the other party is failing you. No one, not a boss, not a friend, and apparently not the universe, wants to invest in a dynamic where they are perpetually the villain.
That makes a lot of sense. But it's not just about severing ties. The text argues that complaining has this uniquely devastating, almost parasitic effect on one very specific type of person.
Yes, the ambitious, emotional, and caring person.
Right. And I found this part so tragic. This type of person is fearless in the face of hardships. They can handle suffering, desperation, and really heavy burdens.
They are incredibly resilient to objective structural problems.
But their ultimate fear is being complained at by close relatives and friends. Complaining is basically kryptonite for highly motivated people.
It really is. The text says exposure to this negativity causes them to lose their confidence, courage, patience, and love.
They can carry the weight of the world on their shoulders, but the constant dripping tap of a loved one saying, were it not for you, completely breaks them down.
Yeah, their soft tempers become irritable, and they just lose their reasonability.
Mm.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is exactly why the author calls complaining a crime.
A crime, yeah, that's a strong word.
It is, but it spoils good atmospheres and, as the text says, brings waves to calm waters.
The quotes in the text are brutal, too.
Very toxic. Like the one you mentioned. Were it not for you in this family, I would live much better.
Or another one. If there really were a greatest creator, there would not be such cruelty. You are just draining the life out of the people who are trying to support you.
Exactly. You are punishing the people who are volunteering to carry the load.
So we've seen how complaining breaks the ambitious people around us. But the text argues the most tragic victim of all is actually the complainer themselves.
Right. The ultimate cost is self-poisoning.
The author says grumbling and complaining make a person toxic and cause them to lose their spiritual light.
And it buries hidden dangers on their path forward. It physically and spiritually degrades the complainer.
Yeah, it talks about a loss of demeanor, temperament, morality, and even beauty.
Which is very real. Think about how hostility literally ages a person's face. It traps them in this vicious, pessimistic cycle until their bright future is entirely destroyed.
Oifeng writes that it has, quote, 100 harms and no benefits.
100 harms and no benefits. That is a total rejection of the modern idea that venting is healthy.
So what does this all mean for you? If everyday venting physically and spiritually ruins your own beauty and path forward, how do we possibly stop doing it?
Especially in a world that gives us so much to be frustrated about.
Exactly. We need a solution.
Well, the text does provide a radical antidote. It starts with a behavioral shift for stylites, or practitioners.
And what do they have to do?
They must replace all complaints with affirmations and praises. The text promises that if they do this, the rough wind ceases and the bright sun shines.
Just completely flip the script. But that sounds impossible if you don't actually believe it.
Right, which is why there is a core philosophical shift required. It is the Chanyuan value.
Ah, yes, the Chanyuan value. The text states, the world is faultless, all faults lie within us.
It is a profound and very challenging philosophy. The author insists that if you are suffering, overworked, abandoned, or suppressed, it is not the fault of the greatest creator.
It's not society's fault or the fault of bad people.
No. The root is always inside you. Now, the text does note that one must read the Chanyuan corpus and Joyfing corpus for the deeper meaning.
I feel like I have to push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
This is a really tough pill to swallow. I mean, if someone is genuinely oppressed, overworked, or treated unfairly, telling them the world is faultless and the root of the problem is definitely you, sounds incredibly harsh.
It does. It sounds like victim blaming.
Yeah, exactly. How do we reconcile that? If my boss is objectively terrible, how is it my fault?
That friction is totally valid. But we have to look at the absolute utility of this philosophy.
Utility, like how it's useful.
Yes. By internalizing all fault, you completely eliminate the mechanism of complaining.
Oh, because complaining requires an external target.
Exactly. If the world is faultless, you can't be mad at the world. It's a radical enforcement of absolute self-reliance. You stop waiting for the terrible boss to apologize, and you take 100% agency over your own life.
So by accepting fault, you're not saying the bad thing was morally right. You're just disarming the weapon of your own resentment so you can actually move forward.
Precisely. You preserve your spiritual light instead of bleeding it out through complaints.
Wow. Okay, that reframes it completely. We have covered a massive journey today.
We really have.
We started by defining the internal rot of grumbling. Then we witnessed its explosive collateral damage on our loved ones and our ambitious friends.
And we finally unpacked Shui Feng's extreme philosophy of taking 100% internal responsibility to save our relationships.
It is a lot to process, so I want to leave you with a final thought. Think about the very next conversation you're going to have with someone who deeply frustrates you. If you truly adopted the belief that the world is faultless for just that one interaction, and treated your own urge to complain as a literal weapon, what happens when you completely disarm yourself?
That is the big question.
Does it make you a victim, or does it make you untouchable? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.